As you all know by now, the Demon Web Pits will be the next module/campaign release in Neverwinter. And yes, it is another Underdark themed module, and to be honest, I'm okay with that. I mean, my favorite module has always been the Underdark back in Module 8. But yeah, no problem with it being another Underdark module. I mean, we do have to move on from the Underdark at some point, but that time isn't now. I won't be reviewing all the gear of the module in this video, but I will do a full review of all the gear available in sections, one video at a time. So in this one, I will be reviewing only the Master Abyssal gear, and I will do that with as much detail as possible. God damn, that was a bigger than usual intro. Alright, time to roll it. Roll it. Welcome back, my favorite window licking extraordinaires. Hope you have all had a great summer and bumping uglies as much as possible. Just make sure you know, don't turn into Elvis or something.
Ever have one of those really smooth orgasms? Turns you into Elvis?
Also, as always, a huge thank you to every person who has become a channel member or subscribed to this channel lately. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't, well, you need Jesus.
Hello, window lickers. Mortals. It's me, your favorite almighty Lord and Savior Jesus, and Galactic Underwear's YouTube channel is the answer to your prayers. I myself abandoned the Tower of the Mad Mage to come down here to give you this heavenly message. I am the most reputable person, ever. So subscribe to Galactic and like all his videos. He's out of this world. Follow Galactic and he'll shine a light on your path to salvation. Jesus.
You heard the Almighty. Do as you're told and be welcomed to heaven with open arms or open legs or open areas. Okay, so enough of the hullabaloo. Time for a review. I'm Eminem in my spare time, in case you didn't know that. So first on the list for your reviewing pleasure is the Abyssal Master Gear that comes in Mythic quality and is acquired from the Master Demon Web Pits dungeon. And all these items have 2050 item level and 1845 combined rating. I'm just letting you know that now, so I don't have to repeat that every time I say a new item, repeating the item level and the combined rating over and over and over again. All right, as long as we're cool with that, just know that every single one has the same item level and the same combined rating. All right, so let's begin with the 4 helm pieces. First up, we have the Abyssal Conqueror's Healing Guard. This piece gives 1538 ratings to critical strike and forte, and the equip bonus is called Butcher's Focus, and this is an equip power we are very familiar with, since it's the same one as the Serene Hood. It is basically when you heal or damage your target for more than 10% of your maximum health points in a single blow, you gain 1% critical strike for 10 seconds, and it stacks up to 10 times, meaning you can have a maximum of 10% critical strike, which will help you cap your ratings. At first glance, you might be thinking to yourself that the only thing that makes this better than the Serene Hood is the actual item level, but that is not the only thing. The new version of the Serene Hood has forte rating instead of deflect, which in my opinion is a better option. So the new Abyss Conqueror's Healing Guard is a better version of the Serene Hood, even if not game breaking. It will just help you cap your ratings better than the Serene Hood did, with a little bit more item level and, combined rating. So for me, one of the best headpieces in the game depending on your build, and it is definitely a must-have even if you don't use it all the time. Next up, we have the Abyss Conqueror's Mauler's Mask. This gives 1538 accuracy and critical severity. The equip bonus is called Abyssal Might. When you use an encounter power, you have a 15% chance to gain 10% critical severity for 6 seconds. Now, I personally think this headpiece is not very good, and I'll explain why. First of all, I dislike any gear that has a chance of doing something, like a 5, 10, or 15% chance of activating, so you can gain a certain benefit. Besides that fact, I also think that much critical severity is not needed on a headpiece. We pretty much cap crit severity in many different ways. I mean, you could fit this in a build. I just don't think that many players will prefer this type of bonus from a headpiece, since it's specific to encounter only to proc it. But that being said, some classes might love this, and it might be viable for them depending on what can proc it. If the bonus can be procced efficiently by, let's say, a warlock, then they could definitely prefer this, but we don't know until it's thoroughly tested, so yeah, we'll see. Next, we have the Abyss Conqueror's Provoker Helm. It gives 1538 defense and critical avoidance, with a bonus called Daily Burst. When you use the daily power, you deal 300 magnitude damage around you, and it has a 30-second cooldown. I mean, I'm struggling a little bit to find anything worth it on this headpiece. I mean, we don't use dailies often enough for the 300 magnitude damage around you to even matter. But that being said, 300 magnitude affected by a threat modifier could be pretty large for a tank to grab aggro in AoE situations. They most likely keep aggro without it anyway, so it's kind of up in the air as it stands. So I'm on the fence about this helm, but it could potentially be something a tank could use. We'll find out more after further testing. Last up, helms wise, we have the Abyss Conqueror Spellweaver Hood. This gives 1538 combat advantage and critical severity, and the bonus is called the Underdark Hunter that grants you 5% damage in all Underdark areas. And this, in my opinion, is okay to use. Not my first choice, but more of a I can have fun with this type of gear. The 5% damage is decent, but most players would focus on capping ratings instead. Definitely usable, but not sure if it would be my main top tier choice. I think we have better options as far as helms go, but if your ratings are capped in Underdark areas, feel free to use this and experiment with it. Now let's move on to armor/chest gear. Let's start with the Abyss Conqueror's Healing Raiment. It gives 1538 critical strike and critical severity, and the equip bonus is called Critical Harmony, which I find to be very interesting. Now keep in mind, I am not a healer and nowhere close to being an expert on what would be best for healers, but from what I know, this is the same equip bonus as the Dragon Hunt piece called the Superior Plate of the Dragon Hunter, and the bonus on that is called Graceful Harmony, but they both basically offer the same bonus in regards to the 7.5% maximum outgoing healing, with the only main difference being instead of 1.5% forte to players 20 feet or closer, the new piece gives 2% critical strike. I would assume this armor piece is best in slot for clerics and paladins because the best endgame healers use this to buff their group. The bonus is basically a pally aura for everyone. This won't be as good for bards or warlocks on the other hand, because those two classes usually use debuffed armor, not buff armor. And also be aware that these buffs do not stack upon themselves, or they shouldn't, and if they do, they're probably bugged, but we won't know until tested properly. Still a best in slot armor piece for some healers regardless, a definite must have. Next, we have the Abyss Conqueror's Mauler Plate. It gives 1530 combat advantage and critical strike, and the bonus is another familiar one called Reckless Rage, which is the same bonus as the Sharp Jacket of the Dragon Hunter from the Dragon Hunt's campaign store. The only difference in this version of Reckless Rage is it grants you 6 stacks as opposed to 5, and I'm pretty sure it's not a typo, and if it was, they'll probably let us know. But it means you can get a maximum of 18% critical severity instead of 15% critical severity, which I find to be weird, because I did recall them saying they would never go over 15% ratings on a single piece of gear, and they just did. With this gear piece, the problem is that I'm not sure if we'll use this at endgame or not. We definitely have more options in other gear pieces than we did before, so we could make leeway to squeeze in a new Sharp Jacket plus 200 more item level, but in all honesty, I just don't know. We're probably gonna still end up sticking to the mighty cuirass at endgame, which sounds more likely to be the case than not. I'm thinking this new version of the Sharp Jacket would or could be best in slot in Master Temple of the Spider if you're wearing damaged shirts and boots. Not sure as of yet, and we won't know until we get all this into Rainer's character builder and see what happens. Either way, regardless if it's used in endgame trials or not, it's still a great piece and can be used in various situations. Next up, we have the Abyss Conqueror's Provoker Cuirass. It gives 1538 combat advantage and awareness, and the equip bonus is called Provoker Stance. And I think, if I am not mistaken, that this is a new equip bonus. Don't ever recall seeing it, but if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. The bonus itself increases your critical avoidance and awareness by up to 7.5% whenever your stamina gauge is full. The effect decreases as your stamina decreases, but when you run out of stamina, you will then gain 30% stamina regeneration for 5 seconds, but with a 30-second cooldown. Now, I could be wrong, but this seems like a pretty damn good armor piece for tanks and their survivability. Even if you can cap awareness, wouldn't the 7.5% critical avoidance plus the stamina regeneration be better than what already exists, or at least one of the best options? I think this is a really good tank armor, but like I said, I'm not a tank, so I'm not 100% sure. And if there's any tanks out there, feel free to let me know in the comments. Next, we have the Abyss Conqueror's Spellweaver Robe. It gives you 1538 combat advantage and critical strike with the equip bonus called Gladiator's Accuracy. This bonus, for every 5 seconds you're in combat, you gain 1% accuracy for a max of 12% accuracy. Now, this armor piece, I can say pretty safely that I don't think it's worth it. I mean, if you are considering this because of the 12% total accuracy, then you are better off using the Exalted Armor that grants you 12% damage from behind instead. I mean, yeah, sure, when there's a will, there's always a away so you can use it if you really wanted to, and probably even balance your stats to a degree. But I just don't think you will get any benefits from it overall. The more likely outcome is you would lose rather than gain. I doubt anybody would bother with this armor piece, but I've been proven wrong before, so who the fuck knows? We'll just find out. Now we're done with the armor and it's time to move to arms. Next, we have the Abyss Conqueror's healing mitts. They give you 1538 critical severity and forte, and the equip bonus is called Charged Expertise. When your stamina is over 75%, you gain 3% critical strike and forte. Now let me tell you about this specific arm piece. I think this will be used a lot. I think it's by far one of the best options, if not the best gloves in the game. The 3% critical strike is pretty much self-explanatory, but the forte is really good. If you add the ratings of 1538 forte that the item already has, plus the 3% forte, that's around 4.5% forte in total, which is roughly 6.4% offensive stats. I mean, it can be debatable if you would use it or not, depending on if you are already capping certain stats. But in my mind and my personal opinion, I would say this is one of the best options out there, because with the added item level, the forte would be something good to work with. Now, you might dislike the stamina reliant bonus, which I find is completely understandable. Not counting the 3% forte, I mean, you could easily min-max without that. It's not really a problem to lose the 3% critical strike when you dodge for just a moment. So to me, the 3% critical strike means I can get another 3.75% accuracy by swapping Alchemist to Book Imp or Dark Dealer, which is a more tangible damage gain. So in essence, it's really just a take your pick kind of situation. This piece is one of the top options in my opinion, regardless of how you look at it. Next, we have the Abyss Conqueror's Mauler's Wrist Guards. They give you 1538 combat advantage and critical strike, and they have an equip bonus called Raging Daily. When you use a daily power, your next 3 encounter powers deal 7.5% more damage, and it has a 30-second cooldown. Now let me make this short and sweet. This arm piece, for me, looks like it's utter garbage. The cooldown is way too much, and usually daily focused bonuses underperform. I mean, I know it's tied into encounters for the extra damage and all that stuff, but you know what I mean. So I've never really known anybody to use something like this, but I really don't have much to say about this. I don't think it will be good, but I could be proven wrong in the end. You'll let me know after testing. Next, we have the Abyss Conqueror's Provoker's Gloves. They will give you 1538 defense and deflect severity, and the equip bonus is called Mighty Valor. When you strike an enemy, you gain 1% power and awareness and lose 2.5% movement speed for 4 seconds, and they can stack 10 times. I mean, if I'm reading this correctly, these gloves can give you up to 10% power and 10% awareness, but at the same time, you lose 25% movement speed. And from what I know, the tanks can literally block and negate slows. Didn't people already use Crag Scaler's arms in that way? Only the Crag Scalers had 5% instead of 10. Am I tripping? And the Crag Scaler was already good at 5%, but this one gives you 10%. Now keep in mind, not every tank's going to use this, because to pull this off, you need to be a good tank. If you run around like ooga boongaing everything like a caveman, this piece is not going to be for you. Sorry. And the stacks last only 4 seconds, and you have to consistently block to negate the movement speed reduction. I don't think it'll be hard to proc once you get used to it, but this is definitely a skill-based tanking item, in my opinion anyways. The only issue I see until further testing is we are not sure if we can keep the stacks up consistently. But definitely one of the best arm pieces for tanks in the game, depending on skill levels and if it's working as intended. And it's another item that's giving you more than 15% rating, literally 20% at max stats. Next, we have the Abyss Conqueror's Spellweaver Band. It gives you 1538 critical strike and critical severity, and the bonus is called Magician's Fury, which when 25 feet or further away from your target, your power is increased by 6%. I mean, the bonus is very mediocre considering the level of the gear piece and the amount of the bonus. Also keep in mind, power is extremely easy to cap these days, especially in Raptor focused groups. So not much to say about this aside from using it as an appearance item, if you wanted to get something out of it. Okay, moving on to the final items of the Abyss gear, which are boots. First item on the boots docket is the Abyss Conqueror's Healing Solarettes. They will give you 1538 critical strike and awareness with the equip bonus called Miracle Crit. Whenever you critically heal an ally with a single target heal, the target and up to 4 allies receive 3% combat advantage and critical avoidance for 4 seconds. Now, let me be completely blunt with you. I have no fucking idea how the hell this is going to work, right? I have no clue. So I won't say too much about it. I mean, what is considered a single target heal for this thing? And can you even use this without losing a buttload of ratings at the same time? This is one of those items that will have to be tested thoroughly to see if any of it actually works and what actual healing powers can actually activate it, if any. Until then, we won't really know. I mean, healing stuff is weird, man. Very fucking weird. So no real opinion on this until further notice, or unless a really good healer in the comments can let me know what the fuck this means and how it's going to work. Next up, we have the Abyss Conqueror's Mauler Greaves. They give you 1538 critical strike and critical severity, and the bonus is one we are very well versed in called Brute's Advantage, which basically is the same bonus as the Wasteland Wanderer boots that gives you 5% combat advantage when 25 feet or closer to your target. The main difference is just item level and combined rating. These boots are tried and true, and there's nothing wrong with having these in your tool bag. We mostly use crit severity boots these days, but there is always room for 5% combat advantage if you really need it. If you can get your hands on these, it wouldn't be a bad thing. Next, we have the Abyss Conqueror's Provoker Crushers. They give you 615 critical severity and 1538 awareness, and the equip bonus is called Brute Tactics. When you are 20 feet or closer to your target, your defense is increased by 5%. When 20 feet or further away from your target, your critical severity is increased by 5% as well. These boots can be a great option depending on what type of build you use, but definitely won't be best in slot from what I see. But I have a feeling this might be better for range classes. In fact, I'm almost sure of it. And really good skilled players can even use it efficiently and even up to a best in slot option. So we'll find out soon enough. And last up, we have the Abyss Conqueror Spellweaver Krakows, or Krakoos, or Krakoonies, or whatever the fuck you call this. And they give you 1538 accuracy and critical severity, with a bonus called Death Defying Advantage. You gain 2% combat advantage for each enemy you're engaged in battle with within 100 feet, and a maximum of 10 targets. This piece of gear seems more AoE focused and has lots of potential for AoE. You can probably even remove most of your combat advantage investments and still cap it. And even if that isn't the case, you could probably at the very least not need the tutor companion while using this, and maybe not even have to make huge changes to your single target build as well. It's a ton of free ratings, and those non-combat advantage forte classes might actually love this. Not sure how good it is, but there's definitely huge potential for it to be good situationally. So that's it. That was my review for the 16 Abyssal Master Gear pieces available. 4 helms, 4 armor pieces, 4 arms, and 4 boots. And I still have to review the legendary Abyssal gear, the enchanted gear from all classes' perspectives, the artifact sets, the rings, the pants, and the shirts, and also Mastercraft gear. So it's in total over 120 pieces of gear to review, so bear with me. We have lots of time, and I'm on it. Trust me. Also, everything on preview is subject to change at any time, so we'll see if these remain as is, or if some slight changes occur before launch. Usually they don't change much, but sometimes they do, so we'll see. So this was basically my opinion on every piece of this collection, and nothing I say in terms of performance is set in stone. Only testing will determine what their true value is, but I'm pretty sure my educated guesses were good enough. And if not, well then, fuck it. Whatever, I fucked up. Let me know what you think of this gear below, what you like, what you dislike, what you're curious about, or whatever else you want to say. Until the next review, have a good one. Galactic here. Peace out. Stay safe.